Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victim's survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm gonna unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr. Chairman. This isn't how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr.
Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
Kentucky. All right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So yes. I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one redaction out
where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
And we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to get on things matter.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim time
because this is bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's where the
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Les Wexner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it
Time is
back on the
up.
screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has
Which,
expired.
may she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
You know, when a law is literally called a Transparency Act, you'd think the vault doors would just swing open. But instead, we're looking at a document dump that feels way more like a hall of mirrors.
Welcome to today's Deep Dive, customized just for you. Today we're digging into this wild, highly charged C-SPAN transcript.
Yeah, it's an explosive clash between Representative Thomas Massie and Attorney General Pam Bondi over the DOJ's handling of the Epstein files.
Totally. And because this transcript is packed with these fierce, highly partisan accusations from all sides, we have to remind you that we're acting strictly as your neutral guides today. We aren't taking sides. We're definitely not endorsing any politicians here. We're just, reading the raw map of this legal battlefield to see what actually happened.
Exactly. I mean, our mission is to cut through all the yelling and the political noise, right? We want to extract the exact claims regarding compliance with the Transparency Act and see how government transparency is actually functioning. Or, well, failing to function. Right, failing. So to understand this conflict, we really have to look at the physical evidence that Massie brought to the hearing. He basically lays out 3 massive DOJ redaction failures.
Right, and the first one is just baffling. It was an email containing a list of survivor names.
Yeah, and the victims' lawyers explicitly asked the DOJ not to release these names, but they went ahead and published it anyway. And bizarrely, they redacted the lawyer's name to protect their privacy, but completely exposed the actual victims.
Which is just, well, it's wild. When agencies process these massive document dumps, they usually rely on software or, junior staffers to scan for exemptions. So an algorithm probably just flagged the attorney's email as personal info and blocked it.
Oh, so it just completely misses the context of the actual names in the text. It's like, I don't know, a bank installing this state-of-the-art alarm system on the break room fridge, but leaving the main vault wide open.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. It's an assembly line approach to sensitive data. But Massie's second and third points push this past just a simple glitch.
Yeah, he points to this fully redacted document literally titled Child Sex Trafficking Co-Conspirators. And when he forced them to unredact it, Les Wexner's name was just sitting right there under the blacking.
Right. And then there's the heavy redaction of the FBI witness testimonies, which are called FD-302s.
Wait, can you explain why those specific FD-302 files matter so much in this context?
Absolutely. So an FD-302 is the official form agents use to report exactly what a witness said. It's the raw, unfiltered intelligence before the lawyers even get involved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and by withholding these, plus the internal memos detailing why prosecutors chose not to press certain charges, Massie is arguing that the DOJ is hiding a coordinated cover-up, one that spans the Bush, Obama, and Biden administrations.
Okay, so based on the text we're looking at, do these missing memos and blacked out names suggest sheer bureaucratic incompetence? Or is it the intentional multi-administration cover-up that Massie is alleging?
Well, to answer that, we have to look at how Attorney General Bondi defends the DOJ. Her defense leans really heavily on this idea of systemic volume rather than, targeted malice.
Right, because she counters by pointing out that Wexner's name actually appears unredacted over 4,000 times in the other released files.
Exactly. She claims that the specific redaction Massie found was just a clerical error and that it was fixed within 40 minutes of him flagging it.
She also firmly states there is no credible information of trafficking to other individuals, but instead of staying focused on the documents, the hearing just completely devolves, right?
Oh, it totally jumps the tracks. Instead of debating the legal limits of the act, it turns into pure political theater.
Yeah, Bondi pivots from defending the redaction policies to calling Massie a failed politician with Trump derangement syndrome. She even calls him a hypocrite for a completely unrelated past vote. Something about voting against a ban on deep fake AI porn.
And that pivot is the crucial takeaway for us here. The core issue, which is why the DOJ declined to prosecute certain people, just vanishes into a cloud of personal insults. The legal mechanics are completely abandoned.
It's just mudslinging. So why does this matter to you, the listener? Well, it proves that passing a transparency law is really only half the battle.
Right, because if the bureaucratic mechanisms, like the algorithms and the redaction policies, are broken, The truth just stays buried in the paperwork.
Exactly. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to chew on. If our current system allows agencies to essentially police their own document releases, maybe the flaw is in the design itself. What if the U.S. implemented an independent third-party transparency court with the sole power to unredact government files, just completely removing the DOJ from grading its own homework? Something to think about the next time a government vault supposedly gets opened.